Our sponsors: The Finkley Experience, HBCU First, The Jamal Bakes Morning Show, J&J Leadership Academy. Thank you for your contributions towards The Michael Finkley Show. Hello everybody, it's Michael Finkley with The Michael Finkley Show.
And I'm Nicole with Conversations with Nicole. You can join me Wednesdays at 9 a.m. on all of my streaming platforms.
Well, Nikki, don't forget about The Michael Finkley Show, Mondays, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the CTR Media Network.
Join us!
On the next Michael Finkley, a Finkley exclusive with labor rights advocate Romero Malone. He talks about his downfall with SkyWest and so much more. Don't miss it, Think Fam. Next Finkley.
There's a new familiar face this time. Say hello to the new daytime. See it everywhere you go. New and the greatest show. It's no other than the Michael Finkley Show. There is no other. He's like no other. I'm so glad that someone resonates with me. Come celebrate with me. Let's tune into Michael Finkley.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Michael Finkley Show. I am on location here today in Charlotte, North Carolina for this very exclusive interview. Our guest today, you've seen him before, he's been on the show in one sense, but today he is in a different role, but still using his voice to help the masses. Today he is an advocate for labor rights. He's none other than Think Fam himself, Romero Malone. How are you?
I'm well, Michael. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you in person.
It's good to be seen and not viewed.
Exactly.
It's good to be back here with you.
Thank you. And you're in a different capacity this time because, again, you're still using your voice.
Absolutely.
But you're helping the masses now by way of being this amazing advocate for labor rights. How did we get here?
We got here by speaking truth to power. We got here by being able to identify different problems and systematic issues that are within the industry itself, within the airline industry, within certain airlines, within different forms and different modes of transportation, different areas just of the industry in general. Mm-hmm. My job now is to advocate for change across the board and be able to empower everybody, workers in specific, to be able to use their voice, to be able to speak truth to power in whatever sector that you work in. Yep. I don't care if it's a fast food worker, I don't care if it's a flight attendant, if it's a railroad worker. Whatever area that you're in, I feel that everybody is empowered to use their voice, and hopefully by hearing my story, it empowers or encourages you to be able to use your voice and be able to find your voice as well, to be able to speak those truths.
Exactly. And I love the way the point of using your voice, right? Mm-hmm. Because all our voices matter.
Right.
Whatever we do. So let's go back, right? 6 years of your life.
6 years.
6 years at SkyWest as a flight attendant.
Right.
Was this something that you always wanted to pursue?
Not necessarily. In the beginning, I always thought that was more so of an abstract idea, not something that was concrete for me. Mm-hmm. You know, growing up as an African-American child in the South Memphis area of Memphis, Tennessee, you really didn't see those type of opportunities. The high school that I graduated from, the median income in the area was approximately $10,000. So there were not a lot of people like me that I had to be able to look at, to be able to say that the sky is the limit, mm-hmm. where I can use that to be able to replicate that. So I didn't have that type of kind of leadway into something that I could aspire to. Mm-hmm. My dad gave me my first opportunity when I was 16 years old to be able to travel. I went to Atlanta and I went to New York for an organization I was dealing with to learn about investment portfolios and shareholders reports, and just to learn about the business aspect of the world. And on that flight was the first time I ever had saw a flight attendant, and I was so enamored by it because I was like, wow, these are people that actually get a chance to travel, be able to do this. So put that in the back of my mind. I was about 22, 23, tell my age. I was about 22, 23 when I first stumbled across the airline industry. I was working in leasing at the time, and somebody presented the idea and asked me, like, have you ever thought about being a flight attendant? And I was like, no, I've never thought about being a flight attendant, but it was something that was interesting to me, the idea and the concept of it. So I began to kind of look into it and try to identify, do I see myself doing this as a career? Do I see myself going into this? And if so, how can I obtain it? The idea was one thing, but to actually go about trying to pursue the career of being a flight attendant was a whole nother thing, because I didn't know any of them. I was confused on if you had to go to school or what was the process like, because I had no instructions for it. But once I began to do my due diligence and my research, I was able to say, hey, this is something I kind of want to go into. And I went and interviewed, got the position, and started my career as a flight attendant in 2017.
Wow. And what I love about your journey, Romero, is that we talked about this off scene, that you had a voice even in high school where you saw something wrong, right? Saw something that was not inclusive for others, and you made a change. And you brought that same, not even knowing, but you brought that same mentality to this role as well. At what point in your career as this new flight attendant that you were like, something's not right, something needs to be done about this sector of this job?
That was in 2020 when I began to notice certain things within the company and certain things that just did not speak to diversity and inclusion in what the company truly represent, because the company, SkyWest Airlines, has a vast array of employees, flight attendants, customer service agents from all ethnicities, nationalities, and backgrounds. And I just noticed at the time they weren't really talking about, there was no type of acknowledgement about any type of diversity, from Black History Month to Women's History Month to Hispanic Heritage Month to Pride Month. There was no type of acknowledgement. That was one. And then also I looked at, there was a lack of minority leadership.
Gotcha. And we're talking about a matured company here by this time.
This is a matured company now, the largest regional airline carrier in the United States. So this is a matured company, and you would think that the mentality would be more so progressive, but it didn't turn out to be that way. So I began to start having conversations at the time with upper management and with leadership, just asking the questions that we needed to have answered. Where is the minority in leadership? Where is the diversity? Why isn't there any type of acknowledgement? Also looking at the morale at the time within the company, because we remember back in 2020, not only are we're in the middle of a crisis where we're dealing with the pandemic, but we're also dealing with the Black Lives Matter protests, the injustices that are taking place, as far as with brutality, police brutality, and different things of that nature. So we're looking at this, and the morale is affected primarily for the African American employees. We have, our allies, and we also have our Caucasian employees who are very empathetic, and those who are trying to gain understanding from all ethnicities and backgrounds. Everybody's trying to come together. So the morale is at an all-time low because we're trying to identify in each other who we are. And that was the most important thing that I felt I needed to take to leadership, to be able to have that conversation with them, to say, this is what's happening with your employees right now, and how can we come together to be able to fix this? And the flight attendants knew that. There was an email that I did to the CEO at the time that went viral on social media at the moment. At that time, it went viral. And I had a meeting with the CEO, and we worked on different things, and that's how the diversity and inclusion board came to existence at the time.
Gotcha. I tell you, in making that change, right? In making that change, not only to help the situation at the time, but we realize we want to see the bigger picture at hand, because you moved on to making this committee to being the president of the West In-Flight Association as well. So Fink Fam, don't go away, because he's going to tell us more about that presidency. It comes with a lot. I tell you, it really does, but don't go away. Back
Hey, Jason Page, the voice of a generation, yeah. Singer of the Pokemon theme song. And you're watching the Michael Finkley Show, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know it's my destiny.
On the next Michael Finkley, former athlete and professional actor, Lester Spade. He tells us how he got into the industry, what he's working on currently, and he answers the question, what is his next biggest dream? All happening Monday. HBCU First. HBCU First Incorporated is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. HBCU First is a student-led community advancing the well-being and economic participation of America's Black youth. As the leading HBCU internship and mentoring academy, we empower elite students from 70-plus historically Black colleges and universities with in-demand college-to-career skills. For more information, visit their website, www.hbcufirst.com. Hello everybody, it's Finkley from the Finkley Experience. We're an educational consulting firm that specializes in first-generation education. So we assist students with their college and career endeavors. We train school administrators on the state of first-generation students. And also, we partner with colleges and universities to assist their first-generation population for easy transition from high school to college. So if you're looking for a presenter or speaker that presents on these topics and so much more, visit our website at thefinkleyexperience.com and learn about all that we do. We're looking forward to working with you.
Hey, Fink Fam, welcome back, and we're still chatting with labor rights advocate himself, Romero Malone. And again, I tell you, your story is just so empowering. So we left off with you starting this entire committee, right, at your current position, your current job, and you moved from that to being president of the association at that time. So how was that in itself from that jump into then going into this presidency?
The transition was seamless at the time. Initially, it was seamless because, as I've stated before, you don't need a title in order to be a leader.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I went into that position in order to affect change, in order to come into the position to be a voice for the flight attendants and advocate for policy enhancements, advocate for quality of life, for us to be able to gain a substantial amount of pay in that position as flight attendants, as I feel like that we deserve because of the work that we do.
Yep.
So when you're going into those positions with an integral mentality, it changes your perception of things. So I went in with that mentality of I'm going into this in order to be able to affect change, but I did not know the type of trepidation that I would encounter along the way. I did not know the racial microaggressions that I would encounter. I did not understand that, or was not aware that there would be so much lack of transparency between the organization or the company union, as I call it, and the management. There was a cross. There was an interjection. There were certain things that were happening and were taking place where I felt like it was not right, and that I felt as though it was not transparent enough for the flight attendants to be able to say that this is our representation and this is supposed to be the people who are negotiating upon our wages, our benefits, our quality of life here. And there's a lack of transparency as it relates to management and it relates to the organization. One of those examples was management I began to notice would call in the middle of meetings. And I would say, hey, this is our meeting time. I was the one that was pushing back against that because I'm like, this is the time that we're supposed to be talking about the things that concern the flight attendants.
Yeah.
And anything else outside of that, it can wait because this is our time for our meeting. And that was something that was not well received because in past presidencies, the presidents were more so willing and able to obtain anything by the company management that was solicited. And I just did not want to be that type of president. Also, I noticed that there was a lack of structure with the organization. We talked about that before, coming from the world of Robert Rules of Order and being able to maintain decency and order for a meeting. And those were things that were lacking within the organization in itself. When I talk about racial microaggressions or racial undertones, I remember hearing certain things like, Romero, how's the crime rate in Memphis? Hearing certain things.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember being in Phoenix, Arizona one time, and, there was a joke that was made about pigmentation or the color of the skin and not being in the sun too long, different things of that nature. And I've always been more so open to the fact of I'm aware of the injustices that take place. And I've always spoken truth about the things that we have experienced as people of color. And to be in that position and be now experiencing these things in a first point of view was just extremely nauseating at times. And it was something that I felt that needed to change, and I wanted to be able to be that voice of change because, we're undervalued in so many different ways, and people don't really look at us or really look at someone who is young, I'll say, young, black, of the LGBTQ plus community and say, hey, we want this person to be in that position. They already feel that you are, undervalued based off perception alone. So I went in that position trying to make sure that I overcompensated by doing everything that I could to be able to provide change and be able to say that this is what we can do to move forward. But when you don't have a supportive board and you don't have the tools and resources in place to be able to support that, no matter how much you try to push forward, it's null and void.
Gotcha. I love the way you mentioned change because you went into these different roles for change. Right? And sometimes, majority of the time, many persons were not receptive, especially upper management in that regard. Discrimination came into play at one point. Racism came into play at one point. Why didn't you just give up?
Giving up would be easy. It's easy to give up. But I was never taught that. I was always taught that you go against the grain and that you push and you push and you push. Or in the church world, they say push, pray until something happens. But I was always taught that you don't give up. You be the change that you want to see. You be the voice that people can be able to hear your story and relate to, and you allow your voice to be your weapon. In so many words. And I wanted to do that. Giving up would have just been easy just to walk away from everything. I had to be forced out of the role because I went in with the mentality of I want to affect change. I want to be a voice for the flight attendants. Even though I was not supported in that aspect, that was always my goal. So giving up was never in my nature. It's never been an attribute that I have been able to keep or carry with me. That's not something that I even like to be a part of my DNA. I don't give up. I keep going until something happens. And if that doesn't happen, you either change structure or strategy. I have to keep going. So that just wasn't an option.
Oh, wow. You mentioned, even in the conversation beforehand, I mean, you went through a lot. It was a lot. You know, when you have persons that you're trying to make it better, but it's like, oh my gosh, you're just working against me. But I'm doing the best that I can because I want to see better.
Yeah.
I want to see better for this organization, this position, for everyone, all you, because it affects us all, right? I can only imagine your mental state. How was that going through all those different changes? Where was your mind mentally?
I was in a I was in a sad state, a very more so state of trying to reevaluate who I was and where I was by the things that they were saying about me. But what I found out is people will call you what they want you to answer to. They'll say things about you, and they were saying some things, of course, at the time that were just not true. And I was dealing with 2 losses at the time because many people know and some don't. I had lost my sister at the time at the height of the pandemic. Like, she had passed away with complications of COVID-19. And all of this is circling. I'm dealing now with this position, and I'm going through another loss. And I learned something at that time. I had to learn how to lose well. I'm going through these losses. I'm going through this disparity. I'm going through this sadness. I'm going through this anguish. And I had to really reevaluate who I was as a person and be able to say, yes, I'm losing something, but at the same time, I have to be able to get back up, and I have to have the ability to be able to come back. See, everything in life is in your ability to be able to come back again. And even though that was a state of sadness that I was in, I also knew that things are only temporary. I can't stay in this place. And sometimes we get stuck in what we lost, and we forget about what's next, what's coming afterwards. So I had to move out of that state of just feeling sad and sorry for myself. And I remember being at a specific meeting with the person who was over communications at the time, and the flight attendant said I already knew about when I had lost my sister. And I had did a video in 2020 about, I said in the video that there may be some seats missing at the table this year, some including my own, but happy Thanksgiving. I talked about the loss of my sister and everything else. And they wanted me at the time to be able to go back to that moment when I did my resignation letter to be able to say, I'm stepping down because of the loss of my sister. That was hurtful. Out of all the things that they could have done, that was probably one of the most hurtful things, because you want me to use a loss that I already had in order to be able to try to spin whatever is story that this company that you all have created as a narrative, in my opinion. So I have had to go through loss, and I've also had to find redemption.
Wow. Up next, Fink Fam, Romero tells us life after SkyWest. Back in a moment.
Hi, I'm celebrity saxophonist Richard Shaw Jr. from Atlanta, Georgia. Make sure you stay tuned for more with the Michael Finkley Show. It is absolutely phenomenal.
Looking for some of the best soul food right here in Mullen, South Carolina? I promise you, come on down to Garden Alley.
Her grape salad's fabulous. Her Watergate, her potato salad, her chicken is fresh. Macaroni and cheese is salted to perfection. I haven't found anything that's not great. Best ever.
Banana pudding, cakes, pies.
Yeah.
Selection is huge. Garden Alley is an awesome place to eat. I really love it.
Come by and see the amazing staff at Garden Alley, downtown Mullins.
Hi guys, welcome to Awaken. We wanted to serve the city of Mullins. We are church owned, and we felt like a coffee shop was such a huge need in the city of Mullins. There's nowhere for people to just come, get a cup of coffee, sit with friends, maybe do some work on the laptop. And so we feel like it was a service that we could give back to the city. Well, our hope is that people will feel calm, that they'll feel welcome, that it'll be a place where they can come and just clear their mind.
We come here twice a day. That's how good their smoothies, their coffee, their lattes, frappes, delicious. I would love the atmosphere here. If I had time to come and just sit and relax, I would. It's awesome.
One thing that I really love about it being here is just the cozy environment. It's so inviting. I can come in here and I can get my schoolwork done, a good coffee and a good meal. But I'm just really thankful that they're here and that I have a good place to go.
We're open Tuesday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Saturday from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Awaken Coffee Bar, downtown Mullins.
On the next Michael Finkley, former athlete and professional actor, Lester Spade. He tells us how he got into the industry, what he's working on currently, and he answers the question, what is his next biggest dream? All happening Monday. Romero, you mentioned your trials and tribulations, right? As this person that's just trying to make change, but just some major stumbling blocks along the way. What did you learn about yourself after this ordeal?
Whew. That's a good question. That's an excellent question. I learned that it's not what my grandmother used to say this all the time. I love my granny. It's not what they call you, it's what you answer to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I learned that in the midst of adversity, to be courageous, to be able to step to it face to face, fearless, and be able to say, yeah, this is a giant, but at the end of the day, I can overcome it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we're faced with things in our life that can sometimes take the wind out of us.
Yeah.
It can really knock us down, bring us back, or take us to a place that is not in the healthiest of places mentally.
Yeah.
But I found the strength in my voice. I found the strength in being able to say, I can do whatever it is that I put my mind to in this situation, in this present moment. And outside of that, what gave me the courage to actually come back and voice those things was the flight attendants.
Mm.
The flight attendants started a Justice for Romero campaign at a time when I couldn't speak.
Mm-hmm.
I was signed to an NDA at the time and I didn't have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
So when people
literally,
I didn't have
no voice. Wow,
no voice.
Yeah.
And when I get asked questions on why are you helping or why are you speaking out about things now, my answer remains the same. I came back to give a voice to the flight attendants that gave me a voice when I didn't have one.
Yeah.
That is what my positioning is now. And sometimes it takes a community, it takes a village to be able to also help support you and help uplift you in your times of need, because there are some times that you just cannot, it may not be an NDA, but it may be something else that makes a person be quiet for a season, for a moment. Well, when the time is right.
That part.
When the time is right. And I think everything is about timing and it's about the right timing. So it's about finding the strength and the courage within your voice, using your voice as a weapon, and also having those people that can help support you and help bring you back. That's what friends are for. That's what communities are for. That's what villages are for. That's what schools are for. Whatever it is your community is that you founded in, you use that to help cultivate you. Because sometimes you need that strength when you don't have it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm falling, I need somebody to support me, be able to pick me back up again. And that's what the flight attendants did for me. And that's the reason why I want to do everything that I can now in order to help them formally and officially be able to have a legitimate union.
I love that. So let's go dive into it. Life after SkyWest. So what does that look like for Romero?
It looks like I am with of course, I'm with an international carrier now, a mainline carrier, so I'm still a flight attendant. I am also an AFA member, a member of the Association of Flight Attendants, AFA-CWA.
So a real union?
A real union. So I am a member. I am a real union member, and now I'm working on two things. One, making sure that flight attendants at SkyWest Airlines are. That's the camera.
That's your camera.
Making sure that the flight attendants at SkyWest Airlines understand that they do have a voice and they have the ability to speak truth to power despite any type of adversities or obstacles that may come. Flight attendants make up the industry. They are the ones that are able to help get passengers to where they need to be, where they need to go, their journeys and their destinations. Flight attendants are a pivotal part of the industry, and SkyWest needs a union. They need a legitimate labor union that abides by federal law and does not evade them. So that's one thing that I'm working on. And I want everybody that's a flight attendant to be able to understand that at SkyWest needs a union. So we're making sure that we are getting those authorization cards sent in where the flight attendants can be able to, formally be able to get a union. And that's one. And also making sure in another area that we are getting out to vote.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that I'm most concerned about is union, and also that we're voting. We are seeing a changing of the guards, a changing of the tides right now as far as in millennial leadership, and even millennials in unions, in labor rights. There's a statistic and study shows like 77% between the ages of 18 and 34 are millennials who want a unionized or union organization within their workplace. So just making sure that people understand what is at stake in this election and making sure that we understand. So I'm calling all the members. I'm calling millennials. I'm calling Gen Z, Gen X. I'm calling the LGBTQ plus community. I'm calling all of these communities to be able to get together, form together to be able to make sure that we are voting and that we do have a voice in this election, and also that SkyWest has a voice at their airline by making sure that they get a union.
I love that. Again, bringing these different communities together, again, for a bigger cause, because again, you've been paying it forward for so long, and you've been through so much, again, like we said before, to where you are today as this guru, as we see.
Our guru.
Yes, guru. Yes. Just own it.
That's very flattering.
Just own it.
I receive it.
Yep.
I receive
just
it.
Own it. Just own it. Are you proud of yourself in this point of your life with all that you've done, being this advocate for others?
I think I am.
Okay.
I understand that there's still work to do. Even though I'm proud of myself, it's also the reason why it's hard for me to get caught up in a resume, because when people read my resume and read the things that I've done, or that I feel, or they feel I've accomplished, it reminds me of the things of where I've been, but it doesn't tell me where I'm going. So I don't mind resumes, and I don't mind, the past, and just being able to admire the journey
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it.
Because it is a journey.
It's a journey.
And it's also available on streaming platforms. But
I was waiting for it.
But just, I'm at a season right now, and I am at a point where I am proud of myself. I'm proud of myself for the things that I'm doing, and I'm proud of myself for finding the ability to be able to make sure that I'm not becoming lackadaisical.
Yeah.
I am actively moving and actively striving and trying to perfect my imperfections and try to become better than what I used to be. So, yeah, I'm proud of myself.
I love that. When is the book coming out?
Oh, Michael.
I'm just asking. Exclusive here. When is the book coming out? Because again, this journey, I know that you documented it along the way, but again, it makes it's a great read too.
You know, there may be one actually in the works.
I'm just saying.
There may be a book in the works right
You
there.
heard it here,
I'm not going to
fam.
speak too much on it, but there may be a book in the works right now, and just trying to encapsulate a lot about my life and different experiences, like you said, that I've had. It is a lot. It is a journey. But we're journeying in this thing called life together.
Yeah.
That's what I always tell everybody.
Yeah.
And right now, it is just about me making sure that I'm doing everything I can to actively move forward, and I'm empowering myself and trying to give the same ability to other people to empower themselves as well. And maybe there's a glimpse or a view of my life or the things that I've done that empowers you to be able to say, hey, it may not necessarily be what it is that you're doing, but I want to be able to find my own way, my own path, So that's where I'm at.
I love it. How can the Think Fam follow you on social media to follow the journey still?
You can follow my social media pages, Romero Malone on Facebook, on Instagram, it is the same thing. On Twitter, it is Romero_Malone. So you can just pretty much look at my name, and if Journey is Journey is Mero M. That's another great artist. I think you should check it out. But
We already know. Think Fam already knows. We know.
But yes, those are all my social media platforms. And for those of you that want to follow, that want to keep up and stay informed and stay connected, that's it.
Well, I want to say thank you for being with us and sharing your story. Sometimes it's not easy. It's not easy, but it's so worth it.
Right.
Because someone else is watching, and then now they can say, he has a voice, I can use my voice too. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for everything.
You're welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Think Fam, thank you so much for watching, and remember to always pursue your dreams. Have a good one.